Episode 6, Checkin in with the Josh Bridges podcast. Something was just jumping on the screen here. I don't know why. It's weird. Anyways, we're back. Episode 6. Got my man, Nick Norris, back for another episode.
Josh just couldn't find anybody else to get on the podcast.
I don't have any other friends, and so I called Nick. Nick,
call me up. I actually had other shit going on, and I was like, "Well, all right. I feel kind of bad for him, so I'll drive over to his house."
I said, "Hey Nick, I'll buy you a burger if you come over and talk to me for an hour."
I was kind of hungry. I've been intermittent fasting lately, so I was a little hungry, and I said,
intermittent fasting. Right into it. Topic of the day: recovery. Intermittent fasting. We didn't talk about this at all last time.
I don't think we did.
No, we talked about a lot of other stuff. But yeah, intermittent fasting. So what me and Nick were just chatting about was we'll go over we're both highly, I would say, active in some kind of athletic thing.
What we are is we're getting old, and I actually have to think about what I do on a consistent basis every day. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, I am really dialed into recovery and recovery hacks because my old body doesn't perform the way that it used to.
That's father time catching up to everyone, as always. Recovery's actually been something that I've always had a huge interest in, like any way, when you're dealing with elite athletes, I'm not saying I'm elite at all. I
wouldn't say you're elite either.
Yeah. Only when I smell my hands is it elite. That's elite. No, but, in CrossFit, I guess I was in the, in an elite status, I guess, in CrossFit. And for me, I feel like when you're dealing with that type of athlete, you're only looking for like those 1% and 2%, right? Mm-hmm. How can I be 1 or 2% better than everyone else, right? And for me, I always took recovery very seriously. And so I searched, did my research, tried and tested everything that I could. Anything I could, that was legal, I would do. And so, I've tried a lot of things for recovery, and I've definitely done stuff that I have no idea if it did anything for me any good at all. And then I have things that I know that help. And then I have things that are still up in the air. Like I'm not really sure, but, and I'm still testing and trying new stuff. And so, recovery is the topic of the day. I get asked that question all the time. Like, What are your methods of recovery? What do you do? And I would jump on, and I think that the biggest thing that most people neglect, whether it's due to circumstantial or if it's due to, just not really understanding how good it is for you, is sleep. Mm-hmm. Sleep is, I think we might have touched.
We probably touched on sleep a little bit, because it's definitely high on my list of priorities, but you're totally on point. Yeah. Sleep is like the best thing you can do for yourself, and probably the most powerful performance enhancing drug that you can find in the market.
Yes.
It's legal.
Right. It's absolutely 100% legal.
It'll increase your production of natural growth hormone. Yeah. Probably improves like your other hormones in your body, testosterone count. Right.
Yep.
Aids recovery.
Brain function.
Yeah.
I mean it's your mood, your attitude, everything. Yeah. I mean, the way that you can, look at it on the opposite side is like, how does the military induce stress in a training scenario? Oh, that's right. They remove sleep.
Yeah, sleep deprivation.
Yeah, sleep deprivation, right? We're going to not let you sleep so we can induce stress to see how you handle it. Yeah. That's what the military does. It's what probably a lot of training scenarios do, right? It's an easy way to induce stress in the body.
Yep.
And so how do you remove stress? Sleep, gosh, I know that there's some people out there, not naming names, Jocko, he talks about it, he doesn't, but that's him. That's how he's always rolled, and he gets up at 4:30 and does his thing, but he probably goes to bed pretty early. I don't know what time he goes to bed. I don't know his schedule.
Yeah, I'm sure he's still regimented, right? He has a routine that works for him, and he can get the adequate amount that he needs for himself. But every single person's different.
Yeah.
But So I had a couple guys that I got remote coaching from in England, and they would always come out and say the number one thing that boosted performance in their athletes, and they had thousands of climbers that they worked with,
Right.
was adding additional sleep
Yeah.
to the person's schedule, and
Yep.
it immediately would accelerate performance in
Oh,
the training regimens they were prescribing.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Like there's a doctor out there. His name's Dr. Matthew Walker, and he's been on Joe Rogan's podcast. He's been on Pt.2's podcast. He's been on Dr. Rhonda Patrick's podcast too. And those are 3 podcasts I really enjoy listening to. Obviously, Joe Rogan, everyone knows who he is. Pt.2 is a longevity doctor, and Dr. Rhonda Patrick is the same. Like they're both doctors who study basically how we can keep our bodies healthier longer, you know? And so, and Dr. Matthew Walker's been on there, and he has a really good book that I read. I've always been since my first deployment, and I have, like, this has nothing to do with, like seeing combat or action like that. For some reason, that's when I remembered it starting. But I do, that is also when I have my first child. So so there could be a, correlation there as well. It's not like, I don't think it's because of that, but I've not been a good sleeper since then. And so that is one thing that I've really, really, really tried to enhance and study and figure out why I wasn't a good sleeper and how to make it better.
Yeah. Well, you pile more stress onto your plate. So that's definitely, we've spoken at length about that, but stress plays a large role in kind of sleep dysfunction.
Yeah.
But then we just, I think a lot of people just blow it off, as we get busier, we want to, hang out at night and watch TV or watch movies or get on our phone and get distracted for hours. And that's a whole other topic, and the fact that you're looking at a bright screen, right, where our body naturally does not want to see bright light and then go right into a situation where it's ready to go to sleep.
Right.
So there's all kinds of things that kind of change as we become busy and more successful. And, sleep is typically the first thing that starts to atrophy and go away.
Yeah.
But to your point, it is at the top of my list as well. It's definitely one of the best things that I've done for myself, was trying to figure out ways to improve my sleep, get more sleep, and make sure that the sleep I was getting was actually productive and restful sleep.
Right.
Because you can lay in bed for 12 hours and be getting up every couple hours and not really getting restful sleep, or, relying on different sleep aids, whether they be prescription or non-prescription, that might not necessarily get you into, the type of restful sleep that you need for true recovery.
Right.
So
yeah, you want to get the, everything that I've read is about the REM and the deep sleep,
Yep.
right? And to get into those, right, you can't be like, alcohol is a huge,
Yep.
Yes, you will fall asleep. But how that Dr. Matthew Walker equates it is, it's like getting hit with a baseball bat. I'm going to knock you out, but you're not sleeping.
Right.
So you're unconscious, but you're not actually sleeping. So alcohol is a huge thing. And that's something I've removed from my diet for the most part. I'll have a beer one every 1 to 2 weeks, like one a week, I would say. And then maybe 2, but never more than 2. And if I do, and even when I do have those 1 or 2 beers, I feel it in my sleep.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm like, it's not worth it.
Dude,
it's not worth it.
I feel the same way, man, because like I'd always rationalized, like, I don't drink that much. It doesn't really impact my sleep. Right. And like, it's not like I was drinking like a 6-pack every night or a 12-pack or like 2 bottles of wine. I maybe open up a bottle of wine if I have dinner, have a beer or something like that, and I get a couple drinks in me. And, I didn't know what I didn't know because I never was not having a drink before I went to bed. And I think probably in the last 6 months for me, I could probably count the number of drinks I've had on like one hand. Yeah. And typically it's just like a toast,
Right.
like special occasion, we're paying, tribute to somebody that passed away or something like that, I'll pour a shot of whiskey or something like that. But it, in excess or consistent consumption of alcohol has a profound negative impact on sleep. And I like getting restful sleep. I actually like dreaming now. I didn't dream for such a long time. I remember having like lucid dreams when I was like a kid and even in high school. And then for some reason, probably because I got stressed out and busy and like totally like put sleep on the back burner, but I stopped dreaming. And it's actually kind of cool now, like being able to dream. And that's a good indication that I think you're like actually getting some deep sleep.
Exactly. Like that. You're hitting the nail on the head. I stopped dreaming as well for years. I was like, I never had dreams, never. And exactly, I wasn't getting the right kind of sleep. I wasn't getting into that deep sleep and then getting to your REM sleep. And so I found the same thing. I finally started I started doing blackout shades. I started wearing earplugs at night. I have a chili pad in my bed, which is literally a small thin layer machine. And I'm not I bought this. I'm not like affiliated with it at all. But it keeps your because your body absorbs your body heat, and so it kind of heats up and it kind of traps
your mattress
into your mattress, right?
Yep.
It heats up and gets hot, and so the chili pad keeps you cool. It runs this water through this little thin pad that you put underneath your sheets, and you put it at a certain temperature. And so I keep it at like 65 degrees. And I've noticed that as well. That's another thing that's it's kept me sleeping a little bit deeper, a little bit longer. And so, but again, the same thing. I started having dreams again, and I'm like, and I love it when I wake up and I can actually remember my dreams. I'm like, I got a good night of sleep. Last night. It's so nice.
Like I ask my kids now, I'm like, what did you dream about last night? And they'll actually tell me about the stuff they dream about, and I'm like, yeah, I had dreams too. I can talk to you about my dreams.
My older son is a terrible sleeper, and I know how young he is. I know how it's affecting him, right? And I want him to get better sleep. And I'm like trying to work with him in the same way and trying to figure it out, and giving him a little bit more magnesium in his diet to help with that. He doesn't have the best diet, right? He's a 10-year-old kid. He doesn't want to eat like this perfect diet. He doesn't want to eat healthy. And I know I'm trying to be Mr. Dad, like, oh, you're gonna eat, greens and you're gonna eat this perfect, but it's so hard. We end up getting pizza or burgers and But he's always been kind of a rough sleeper ever since he was born. But trying to help him as well, because I know that at 10, right, he's growing and his body's like getting all these hormones, and I don't want him to miss out because he's not getting into that deep sleep.
Yeah.
But man, but going back, what we're talking about is like it's such a huge thing.
Well, so for you, man, like sleep is so important to both of us. You said, body temperature is important. No, like reducing alcohol consumption. And I agree. The chili pad, I've heard Peter Attia talking about it extensively. You brought it up so many times, and I think I've probably heard it a dozen other times from random sources. Yeah. And I still don't have one, and I need to get one because I sleep so warm. Like my wife doesn't even let me sleep in the same bed as her because I sweat through the sheets and stuff. So I am definitely a candidate for that. So beyond those two, what else has been impactful for improving your sleep?
That's a good question. I'm trying to think. I've done so many different things, right? Like obviously, like we talked about, no phone. Yeah. The blue light, right? The blue light on your phone, your screens, that is actually telling your body, right? Hey, it's changing your circadian rhythm. And it's telling you, hey, it's time to wake up. Yeah. Right? Like blue light, that's your body's natural, hey, it's time to wake up.
I've killed that. I actually put somebody showed me how to put the dimmer, right? Like, so at a certain time, my screen goes darker. Yeah. Which is such an easy thing to do.
Super easy.
But has massive impact because when I see my screen go dark, it's a great tool, right? Like it's making the screen less bright. Yeah. So in the event that I am looking at my screen and it's too late and I shouldn't be looking at it, at least it's not going to have as big of an impact on me. But I guess the bigger impact is that it actually serves as a reminder. Like I see my screen go from bright to dark and I'm like, oh, it's time to start settling down. Right. It's almost like it gives me that mental cue that I need to start thinking about kind of chilling out, not letting my mind race kind of about all the things that I've been up to that day. Maybe thinking about, going in, maybe taking a shower, getting ready to go to bed, settling down. So I agree with that.
I've tried the meditation. You know, we talked about.
I was gonna check in.
I knew you were gonna check in on it, so I'm gonna bring it up. Right. I have done an okay job. If I was grading myself, I'd give myself a C-.
Good.
But obviously not an A or a B because I'm not worthy of that.
At least you're holding yourself personally accountable.
I am definitely holding myself accountable. I got like 3 or 4 days in a row, and then I had like
you messaged me.
I know. Of course I did. Had to let you know. Listen, this isn't gonna win.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a good little run. I had like 3 or 4 days. I got a little lazy, and I just kind of let my busy day take over and not setting that time apart for myself. So the meditation, but I have gotten in a couple times here and there, you know, but it's getting easier to do it, right?
Yeah.
I don't have that anxiety where I'm like, oh man, I do not want to go not think for 20 minutes.
When are you meditating? And what app are you using?
I'm using what is the app called? That it was one of the ones that I'm gonna put that
Waking Up?
No, what is it? It's right here.
Insight
Timer.
It's a good one.
It's a good one, and I'm doing the guided meditations.
Yep.
And I think it's good that I just pick one, and I kind of typically go to like the time frame I want to do at that point. And
Yep.
The longest I've done is 20,
which is a lot.
which is for me it's huge.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to not struggle when I start to think, right? Like not let myself like start talk negatively to myself and be like, listen, it's okay. You're going to think. It's 20 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And when the guided meditation, when the person starts talking about something and something reminds me of something, I'm just like, hey, it's okay. You're gonna have thoughts.
Well, that's part of it. Is just you if you start to gain the perspective that you're recognizing those thoughts, the patterns that are coming up, recognizing them and then letting them go. I mean, that is like actually the practice, right? You're not like eliminating all thought. I mean, we're human beings, and especially having just started meditating. I mean, you and I both, like, there's no way. Like, my mind's racing all the time, and my meditation's actually been pretty terrible recently.
Yeah.
Like, I think I'll segue into another kind of recovery / performance enhancing practice. Like I started intermittent fasting again.
Right.
Just because and I don't want to get off topic, but I started running, got a bout of tendonitis in my left knee, and then had to slow down and stop running. And it also impacted my climbing. So I basically couldn't do 2 major activities that like I wanted to do. So I'm like, I'm going to start to get fat. Like I'm going to start gaining weight, and I don't want to get heavy right now because I'm going into the fall and I want to perform climbing.
Just wear black. It's slimming.
Yeah, I just say wear black clothing. It makes me look better. But Josh, I know deep down inside that I'd be heavy, and I didn't want to be that person. So I started intermittent fasting. But what I noticed was it started impacting my sleep.
Oh.
So like I was basically cutting off. I was either stopping my food consumption at like 4 p.m., 4 to 8, depending on how long I wanted to go the next day without food. So trying to do a full 16 hours fasted before I eat my food. And
so you were doing an 8-16 fast.
8-16 intermittent fast.
Okay.
And
great.
I was hungry at night. And then I just noticed that my sleep was super disrupted last week after starting that intermittent fast. And then it threw my meditation off. So I mean, it then points back to
snowballing.
Sleep
man.
ruined me. I think I should probably just go back to like eating whenever I need to eat, and then sleeping better and performing better.
So we can talk about intermittent fasting. I did intermittent fasting for about a year, and I saw some great results in certain ways, and then I saw some things that it really challenged me mentally because it would stress me out because all I would think about in those 8 hours was how am I going to get all of the food that I need to eat in these 8 hours?
Yeah.
I'm not even hungry, but I'm like, I need to eat now. I'm really hungry, obviously, at the moment of like I was doing 8-16 as well, right? So 8 hours, if you don't know what intermittent fasting is, right? It's basically where you're only allowing yourself to eat during a certain time of the day. And 8 hours, like an 8 to 16 is a typical intermittent fasting time frame. And so, I did the same thing. I would do the 8-16, and I would eat from was it 1 to 9? Is that 8 hours? Yeah, I think that's 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And then eat from 1 to 9 and then not eat the rest of the time of the day. And the same thing, my sleep got really bad if I didn't get the calories in that I needed to get in.
Right.
Which when I was training, I was still training CrossFit, not that I'm not anymore, but I was still like had a higher volume, right? And so I was having to eat a lot of calories. And man, I was stressing out about it. Like I would stress.
Yeah.
Like I was like, and then my kids' sports, were kind of like in that time frame as well. And so I was like, well, I got my kids' baseball from 4 to 7 o'clock. That's 3 hours where I'm like, how am I going to eat during that time? Right. So I'm like bringing little snacks to the field and stuff. And that was tough. And so
you definitely get neurotic, right?
Yeah.
I'm noticing it right this week. Like I broke my fast and I'm like ate right away. But then I was immediately thinking like, I need to keep eating.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat more because I don't want to get hungry again and I want to get good sleep.
Yeah.
So it's tough, but
it really is.
You know what I noticed? So I did a long stint of intermittent fasting and then I stopped, for one reason or another. I just kind of got off the intermittent fasting schedule. But when I was doing it, for climbing specifically, I liked being fasted before I train. For some reason, I just felt like I performed better, lighter. Whether that's mental or an actual, physical, like positive physical result of the fast. I definitely felt like I was performing better. I felt lighter, felt more clear-minded. Yep. So I think for like inflammation and all that, I think it's good, especially for anybody that has dealt with concussive injury in their life. I'm always trying to figure out ways to kind of mitigate, inflammation in my brain, improve cognitive function. And intermittent fasting helped in that regard. So, I'm hopeful that, if I get out of this time, I'll do it for a period of time, hopefully to kind of get me through this period where I'm trying to get my knee recovered and get back into kind of a normal routine. But, I think like anything else, it's probably good to cycle on and off it,
Yeah, I agree with that completely. You're right. Like I think that, and I also think it depends on who you are as a person, right?
For sure.
If you're a super competitive athlete in their 20s, I don't think you need to intermittent fast. I really don't. I don't think I would do if I was going to go back into my 20s and in my, athletic career, I don't think I would start intermittent fasting to get the benefits that you get out of it. I'm not sure it would do anything other than cause me stress, right?
Yeah.
Well, maybe, I don't know. It's tough to say because you don't have as many stressors, right? I didn't have kids and stuff like that. And so maybe it would be easier, but I don't know.
But maybe some of the benefits that you're trying to get from that intermittent fast, you already are accruing those benefits naturally. You have more testosterone,
right?
You have more growth hormone. You have all these things.
Yeah.
Your recovery is just so much better when you're younger that you don't necessarily need it.
The one thing I did see was my testosterone levels went up.
Yeah.
It's not that I test my testosterone levels very often, but I was getting some blood work in 17 and 18. I was getting some blood work done because I was having some issues with recovery. And it was the fact that I was training and not eating enough and drinking a little more caffeine than I probably should have. Yep. And I wasn't sleeping well. And I was eating a lot of dairy and gluten. And so when I was getting my blood tested, she tested my testosterone, and it was like, every time I'd ever had it done, it was always like in the 400 range, which is which is low.
Yeah, actually, low because you're in your like mid to late 30s.
Yeah, I'm 37 years old, so this was when I was early 30s.
Yeah, super low.
And then I think I had it also done in 2012, and it was the same way. It was like in the 400s. That was when I was in the military and I injured my knee. I had a blood test, and I don't know if some of that equated to because I had the knee surgery early on, but the crazy thing was, so when did I do the intermittent fasting? I think it was last year. And I had knee surgery and elbow surgery. And I think I got the blood work done about 7 months post knee surgery. But I'd been doing intermittent fasting at this point for about 10 or 11 months. And I did it all through my surgery or recovery from the surgery. And my testosterone levels came back at like 700. 770.
Yeah, that's significant.
So it was like huge. And that was literally the only thing that I had changed was intermittent fasting.
So you didn't cut out gluten or dairy or
any of
that
stuff? So I did, but that was 2 years prior.
Okay.
So that was not the same year. But I did cut out gluten. I cut out dairy, a lot of dairy. I still eat some gluten. I still eat some. I'm not a ulunatic when it comes to eating at all.
Yeah. You and I have talked about this.
I'm very much a person that's, everything in moderation is fine. I don't really do dairy anymore. I'll have a milkshake here and there. I'm not a big ice cream guy anyways.
Yep.
But
I'm the same way. My kids, so my wife and my kids, my wife claims she's lactose intolerant. She's probably like yelling right now, as she listens to this. I am lactose intolerant. Regardless, she doesn't drink a lot of dairy. Therefore, my kids don't drink a lot of dairy, and then I don't have access to it. So I pretty much have cut it out. And I've used like flax milk and I don't know, flax milk.
None of those do. I've done the almond milk. I've done coconut because I love milk.
Yeah,
whole milk.
Yep.
In like 15 and 16, I was putting down like a gallon of milk every 2 days, like every 2 to 3 days, like going through a lot of milk in the house.
I thought you were gonna say in one sitting.
No, I could have, but So
So you didn't cut. I mean, that stuff was all cut out of your diet.
That had been cut out for a couple of years at that point. Yeah, from the intermittent fat. So I really attribute the testosterone levels going up because of the intermittent fasting.
Yeah,
and I was the same way. I did my first workout fasted. And I never felt sluggish. I never felt tired. I never felt like I ran out of energy because I hadn't had anything to eat yet.
Yeah.
So
even when I'm not fasting, I will typically do like a little micro fast before I go and train.
Yeah.
And I definitely feel better in those times where maybe I come home after working and I'm just like starving. So I just eat something. And then I go to work out, and like I definitely feel sluggish.
Yeah.
Performance suffers
right
when I break. And there's probably a fine balance right here where like you want to make sure you have enough calories in your body to perform, but if you're not in like kind of that intermittent fasting protocol.
Yeah.
But I agree, man. I think I did see performance with that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think the best thing for everyone to do too is to try these things on themselves.
Yeah.
Right. For intermittent fasting, it takes about 2 weeks to really, I feel like, get past that hump where you're like you don't struggle with. I didn't feel like I felt the first 2 weeks were a little tough, right? To get to that 1 p.m. without eating.
Yeah.
Where I was at about 10:30, 11, I was like, I want to eat some food right now.
You should be asleep by then, Josh.
At AM. I'm talking about the morning.
Okay,
the morning. No. And no, 9 after, like I was okay. Like once 9 p.m. hit, I was good through the night.
Yeah.
Right. But then the morning time hit, and about 10:30 would come around. 11 o'clock, I'd finish that first workout.
So you have to drink a lot of water.
And I was just like, I'm really hungry.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, man.
Yeah.
And it does. I think as you're on that protocol for a while, your sleep will normalize.
Right.
I think it's like anything else. It's like a shock to the system, right?
Yeah.
So it jacks you up for a little while, but there are benefits. And I think there's benefits if you kind of stick with it for a while, use it for maybe a performance phase.
Yeah.
And then maybe like ease up on yourself. Like don't torture yourself forever and get so neurotic about it that it consumes all of your thoughts.
Exactly.
You can cycle off of it, but it is effective.
That was the thing too, was I got to a point too where sometimes I'd like, I'm like, I need more calories, and I would just eat whatever.
Yeah.
And so I started to eat a little crappier.
Yep.
So again, then I'm starting to stress out about it. Like, I'm eating crappy and I'm not getting enough calories and my sleep. So that was one of the reasons why I started to I was like, okay, I'm only going to do it 3 or 4 days a week.
Yep.
And then slowly phased completely out of it.
Yeah.
And I haven't done it again in a while.
Yeah.
And I'm sure at some point I'll try to do it again, and maybe for a little bit. But as of right now, I'm just enjoying myself. Golfing, boxing.
Yeah, you are doing a lot of that.
I'm living a retired life almost.
Well, dude, some other things, man. Like I heard you mention darkening the room and eye shades.
Yep.
So I may have mentioned this last time we spoke, but I definitely I wear eye shades when I sleep. And I would have laughed at people, right? I'm like, you don't wear that. You wear an eye mask when you sleep? Come on,
right.
Come on, dude.
How old are you? 65.
Yeah, right, dude. But I definitely I would catch myself on Amazon looking up different eye masks, to find the high performance eye shade that's going to block out all the light. Right. But no, and I found one, just something simple, and I consistently use that. And now it's it's my go-to. It goes in my backpack regardless if I'm going away for a day or 2 weeks. That thing comes with me. Yeah. And I think it's important. If you can't darken your room, especially when you're traveling a bunch for work, sometimes it's tough to find the room find a room where you can make it totally dark. So those eye shades are definitely incredible.
Yeah.
Help cut out that ambient light and give you more restful sleep.
It's when you sleep in a really, really dark room and then you have to sleep in a room that's not really dark, you notice it, and it's drastic.
Oh, immediately.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Right? You go to a hotel and they don't have blackout shades. You're like, this isn't okay.
Yeah.
Like, I need my blackout shades.
Yeah.
And I need my chili pad and,
Well, dude, especially if there's like
soft.
when there's like lights outside and stuff like that. Yeah, it throws you off, man.
Yep.
So yeah, I've definitely become more sensitive to light and sound.
Right.
Yeah, and like not just the light, right? But sound. Noise canceling headphones. Not that I wear them when I'm sleeping, but those things are awesome. Like I never bought a pair until this year, and it's like life changing. Like I use those things a lot. I use them for meditation a lot, but I think even having just some like comfortable ear pro, like if you're
that's why I just wear literally like little
foamies.
Little foamies. Put them in my ear, and I wear them every night.
Yeah, it's cheap,
And
right?
I still wake up. Like if my dog barks, I wake up. It's not like, but you don't get woken up by like little noises.
Yep.
And so that's what I've noticed. And I started doing that on deployments and stuff like that. Like anytime you're in open bay sleeping, like in the military,
Right.
like you're gonna sleep terrible.
Yeah.
And so if you didn't have foamies in, you weren't sleeping.
Right.
Because you had at least 3 guys snoring that always fell asleep first, and same. It was just, there was always little, people getting up, going to the bathroom or whatever, or people's alarms going off in the middle of the night. And you're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why is your alarm going off at 5 a.m.? We got to get up at 6.
They're on a different program.
Right.
They had something important going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's really important. Trying to think of some of the other stuff that I found really critical in improving my sleep. Well, one thing that we're gonna do after we finish this is jumping in the old oven in your backyard, the sauna.
The sauna. We're gonna take a sauna bath.
So I will say I do not have one. I'm definitely been working my wife over to convince her to allow me to install one. You notice I said allow me to install one in my backyard. Please. Because I've been coming over here and doing saunas with you. And the nights that I do come over and sit in that sauna, like I do sleep better.
Yeah.
Like I feel better and it makes me tired.
Yeah, I don't know. Right. I don't know the effects. I don't know if it is. I know that it obviously is going to relax you.
Yeah.
Right? You're getting in. We're not going into we're not going into an infrared sauna, first of all.
Hey, this isn't recreational
This is
sauna
real
time.
Deal. 200 degrees, 20 minutes minimum.
Doing burpees the entire time.
Doing up downs. Doing 8 count man makers in there.
Just till somebody quits. And 50, no big deal.
50 calorie assault echo bike sprints. Laird Hamilton style. Have you ever seen that guy?
Oh, it's insane.
Oh my gosh, the shit he puts out. You're just like, he got like oven mitts on his hands while he's doing the bike in there. I'm like, this guy's nuts.
Yeah.
No, but sauna, man, I agree. I think that there is some huge benefits to recovery with the sauna.
Yeah. And we neither of us are medical doctors.
I'm not.
So we don't have
none of this stuff
the medical perspective, but
right. None of it.
I can tell you how it makes me feel.
Exactly.
Right.
And it feels good.
It's very subjective.
Right. It's very subjective. No actual anything unless I've read it somewhere and I'm quoting someone, and so you still can't take it because my memory's terrible anyways.
Right.
So but no, I started reading up on saunas as well. Obviously, Dr. Rhonda Patrick is big on saunas, and she was talking about how it can raise your growth hormone levels, and so obviously I was like, hey, this sounds like a good idea.
And more's better, right? So if 20 minutes produces X amount of gain in growth hormone, 40 minutes must be better.
Exactly, because 2 is 1 and 1 is not.
And 80,
everyone
and
knows
80
that.
minutes might even be better than that. So
At 220.
At 220.
I'm like, I remember the first time I got out of that thing, I was like, I cook meat at like 15 degrees higher.
Oh, I think I smoked a tri-tip at 220 for like 90 minutes and then seared it on both sides. So yeah, you can't cook yourself.
I'm like, this is insane. So yeah, be careful with saunas. Like you definitely have to, know your limits, know what kind of person you are, and bring water in there. the first time I invited Nick over, Nick didn't even like have a sip of water, and I was like, "This
Water makes you weak.
water does make you
I'm
weak."
totally kidding. Because that actually jogged my memory. Water, man.
I know.
Hydration is like one of the best things you can do
Yep.
to improve your sleep and your overall like performance, physically, mentally. I never hydrated. And I may have spoke at length about that because hydration is something that I'm like absolutely committed to in a daily routine.
Yeah.
And I never used to hydrate because I always thought, hey, if I drink more water, I'm going to weigh more. And as a climber, I'm going to have a lower strength to weight strength to weight ratio. And none of that was true. I actually retain more water when your body needs it.
My little fingers aren't going to be able to hold me because I drank too much water. No, Nick, opposite.
Yeah. So I started drinking water because I finally learned from a knowledgeable source that if you drink adequate amounts of water, your body actually sheds the excess water better rather than retaining it. So you weigh less. You actually lose weight.
You were so dumb before.
I mean, I was trying to fit into my spring collection, Josh. I just wanted to look good. Wanted to look good at the beach.
I was the same way, man. Like I always exactly like neglected drinking water. And then now, like I notice it immediately. The moment I'm dehydrated,
Mm-hmm.
I get up. I don't know how many times a day I get up and I'm like all dizzy from not, drinking enough water.
Right,
I'm like, how old am I?
Yeah,
Like, what's happening right now?
Yeah, I force it, man. That's part of my morning routine. It's, a pint, supplements that I'm taking, meditate, come back, drink another pint or two.
Right.
And then, something that's important is to make sure you're putting adequate amounts of electrolytes, in your system, whether they be through the food kind of calories that you're taking in or supplementing, putting that in your water. So, but I make sure I try to get like 96 ounces of water a day or more. And depending on like physical exertion, right? If you're putting out in the heat and you're just dumping water or you're taking 80-minute saunas at 220, you might need to drink a little bit more.
Might need to drink just a tad more water. Just a tad. Man, the amount that 200 degree sauna for 20 minutes, I sweat like it's pretty gnarly. Yeah, I go through at least whatever this is. I'm gonna guess this is like 36 to 42 ounces.
Yeah,
I go through at least one of those, and then right when I get out, I drink a whole nother one.
Yeah,
like immediately.
Yeah, it's good.
And if I don't, like wake up and peeing brown.
Yeah, well, it's good, man. It like flushes your body too. The detoxifying effects.
Right.
I also like if you don't have a sauna, like Epsom salt baths.
Oh yeah.
Like I know Rhonda Patrick talked about that as well, and I was like stoked because for some reason, man, like I enjoy, like not that I don't enjoy hot weather and I don't enjoy being hot, but I like being in a sauna and I like being in like an Epsom salt bath, like dumping like 15 pounds of Epsom salt, like max saturation,
right?
And like as hot as I can get the water.
Yeah.
But it detoxifying effect, relaxing. Actually a good way to kind of like practice breath work. Yeah. Like I typically, that's what I'll do. Instead of just like sitting in there, like twiddling my thumbs or like, doing something else that's not productive. Like I actually will focus on breath work when I'm doing like sauna or Epsom salt bath.
Right.
Because it gives me a way to kind of like get my mind focused on something that's not totally uncomfortable.
Yeah.
When you're in that kind of hot environment.
I agree. Yeah. I think, helping like the breathing technique, which is a form of meditation.
Yep.
Right. I do a lot of Epsom salt baths as well. I enjoy a good hot bath with Epsom salt in there. I definitely think that my muscles recover a little bit faster too after I do an Epsom salt bath. And I remember hearing one time that if you do an Epsom salt bath, they actually get the effect get the benefits from the magnesium of these salts. You need to be in for like submerged for at least 20 minutes.
Yep. That's exactly the number that I heard.
So.
Which is good.
Whenever I do a bath, exactly, I'm doing 20-minute baths, and so. But that leads into float tank.
Yes.
So I have one coming. I'm so excited. Very, very excited for this. I got one of the in-home float tanks coming, and then and so I've only done it a couple times, and the first time I went in to do a float tank, I had zero expectations. I thought it was a complete bullshit. I was like, this is going to be some some cuckoo, like hippie, whatever nonsense that I'm not going to get anything out of. And I'm going to lay in this water that's 98.6 degrees. And, you are complete sensory deprivated, and I'm going to be bored out of my mind, and my mind's going to race the whole time. It blew me away.
Yeah.
I got out of that float tank, and I did a little too long. I think did we talk about this?
No.
Maybe I don't know. I did one for an hour and a half, 90 minutes off the bat, and it was super aggressive. Right. And at about an hour, I was done. I was like, I should get out. And so the last 30 minutes really wasn't that great. But when I got out, I have never felt that calm and relaxed.
Yeah.
And I couldn't even remember. I was like, it was insane. It was mind-blowing how amazing I felt getting out of that thing.
Yep.
Like, it was crazy.
Well, I had a similar experience. I think I was introduced to the concept of float tanks maybe 3 years ago. And it was, it was actually in a time in my life where I was dealing with a lot of stress. I was dealing with some of my own personal struggles anyway, trying to figure that stuff out. And somebody recommended a float tank. So I'm like, what the hell? I'll go down and lay in this dark pod and we'll see what happens. And I had a very similar experience. I think I went in for an hour and a half or 2 hours.
Yeah.
And I think I fell asleep at one point.
I did, and I kind of shake.
Yeah, and you're in water, and the sun comes over your eyes, dude.
The water burns your eyes. I was like,
you try to rub it out, and it doesn't do anything.
Yes, doesn't work.
And then you're just sucking it up. You actually are meditating at that point. You're like, you're trying to get rid of the sensation of pain. You're just like, the salt is burning my eyes, but I'm not going to let the sensation of pain get to me. And you just lay there because you don't want to get out, right?
Pain don't hurt.
You don't want to be the
pain don't hurt.
You don't want to be the guy that is knocking on the door, opening up and coming out early. So you just suck it up. But yeah, dude, it is a great tool, especially for people that are getting into meditation or want to try meditation. It kind of forces you into that state of mind.
Right.
It's a little bit easier. There's no distraction, right? Because that's one of the biggest problems is that beyond your own thoughts and kind of patterns of thought in your head, you have all these physical distractions around you in your day to day. A lot of people complain. They're like, man, I have kids in the house or I'm in an area that's noisy or I have a roommate. And it's just tough for me. I go lock myself in the bathroom and sit cross-legged on the toilet and lock the door so nobody bothers me.
Picture
yeah.
this.
And the exact opposite happens. My kid, one of my kids busts into the room while I'm meditating and turns the lights on and yells at me
what are you doing here?
So trying to get now it's I've learned my lesson. I get up really early. And I sit and I knock out my meditation when everybody else is asleep. I'm awake before the enemy.
Exactly.
The enemy are my kids.
Because the enemy the enemy doesn't sleep.
But if you go to the float tank, it's great because those things that's your own space.
They're all gone, and there was you felt like you were floating in space.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have any because you're completely floating. And you don't feel the water against your skin because it's the same as your body temperature.
Yeah.
And it's dark and you just, it was so incredible. And I was, so blown away at how good it made me feel.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Yep.
But, getting it at my house is going to be really nice because it's one thing that I struggle with going to I got to take 30 minutes. I got to make an appointment to do it and all that kind of stuff. So getting this home one, I'm pretty fired up. I'm not gonna lie, pretty fired up.
I mean, for me, it's awesome because Josh's house has turned into a wellness spa for me.
I'm gonna start charging you a membership.
I know. I need to start. I need to start paying him a membership.
Exactly.
He has a sauna. Soon to have a float tank. He has
ice bath.
He has an ice bath, aka deep freezer filled with water.
Exactly.
May or may not be an electrical hazard.
Hey, we unplug it. Baby. We unplug it before we get in.
Josh also dry needles on the side. He's not certified in that.
Not certified in that. Yes. Acupuncture. Hey, that's a great topic. Acupuncture is huge. That's something that has been big for me in my career.
Yep.
I don't know how much you've done with it.
I maybe once or twice, but I've had actually with the latest tendonitis, I had our buddy Kelly Schlager tell me to go get acupuncture.
Yeah.
Because it's a
Banana
tendon
hands.
issue. Yeah, that guy. We could
Dude,
talk about Kelly after this.
Schlager.
He's one of those things. He would be a
he'd be
recovery hack.
Yeah, he'd be a good. Yeah.
But go on, tell us about acupuncture.
So
Josh.
acupuncture it's been big. I've been doing it since 2011. I've had the same acupuncturist, working on me for 9 years now. And to be honest, before I go to doctors, I would go to her to see like if she could fix if it was more muscular than it was, anything actually wrong with ligaments or tendons or joints or anything like that, right? And 9 times out of 10 it was something muscular that I was like, man, I think it hurt something, and tended to be just some sort of muscle strain that acupuncture really helped with. And so, the theory behind the acupuncture is obviously you're creating micro puncture or micro wounds,
trauma.
Yeah, to the area, which is generating blood into the area.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more. That whole Eastern medicine is, I believe in it because it's been around for so long, and it's more of a preventative style medicine, where Western medicine is obviously very much like, hey,
it's reactive.
Yeah, exactly. It's reactive, and just, it's more of a quick fix, right? Here's a pill. Here's something this makes you feel better.
Right.
And it really is just more of a Band-Aid than actually some sort of cure.
Yeah. I agree.
So yeah, the acupuncture has been huge, and it's helps with I felt like it definitely helped reduce stress, helped me relax. And it was just another thing out there. And she would hit these muscle groups when, I would hurt my back, and my glutes weren't firing, or my hamstrings weren't working, or my hip flexors were too tight. And, she'd hit them with these needles, and man, like next day I was feeling great.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was nuts. I wholeheartedly believe in it. And I think that, if you find the right acupuncturist out there, it can help aid in recovery and help you not get injured as often, for sure.
Well, that's a ticket, just like anything else, like finding the right professional, somebody that's at the top of their game, makes all the difference in the world. Because you can go get acupuncture done or any other type of service. And if you go to somebody that's, not at the top of their game, you may have a poor experience.
Exactly.
And you're not going to get the benefit. So, you shouldn't just, throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Not all doctors, not all PTs, not all chiros are created equal.
No, not at all. I mean, I'll tell you, going back to Kelly Schlager, who's a good friend of ours, and I was introduced to him at David Wells charity golf tournament.
Okay.
Which, by the way,
David Wells, never heard of him. What's he do? Oh, wait,
who is
that's
that guy?
right.
No big deal.
Pitcher for the Yankees.
He has his event at Sequan Casino on October 23rd.
I'll be there.
Big charity dinner. You should come.
He won't even invite me, but I'm gonna crash.
No,
it.
I'm bringing you. You're gonna come as my guest.
Give me your date.
Yeah,
all right.
I'll introduce you to David. I hung out with Jim McMahon at the last one. The punky QB from the '85 Chicago Bears, the one, the only.
Now we're talking.
It was awesome.
Yeah,
he's more impressive in real life.
Really?
Yeah, he's such a good dude.
Yeah.
But anyway,
because you're from Chicago.
I'm from Chicago, man. Yeah, I grew up around that.
That's
I mean, I was like, 4 at the time when they won.
Obviously a huge fan.
I mean, obviously I was a massive fan of the '85 Bears.
Season ticket holder.
Sweetness, punky QB.
That's right.
The fridge.
That's right.
But I met Kelly Schlager at a dinner because of David, and he offered to give me like a consult, and he, from like a tissue therapist standpoint, I think he's at the top of his game.
Yeah, he's really good.
And it's like myofascial release. It's pretty aggressive therapy.
Super aggressive. You can't go in there looking to get relaxed.
It's a good way to practice your meditation.
Right.
Detaching pain from sensation and really trying to find your center. Because that guy, he has you gave him the nickname Banana Fingers.
Oh man, dude, that guy shook my hand the first time, and I was like, "Look at these paws you got on you, bro."
But such a nice guy and
nice.
So intelligent. I mean, like I tell people, I'm like, I have more confidence in what he's telling me than like physicians that I see, as far as like anatomy like his command of like all the musculature and soft tissue and all the connection points and knowing how things interact.
Right.
He just does a phenomenal job. And he every time I've been injured, I've gone to him, and he can immediately figure out kind of what's wrong. And he doesn't go to the problem, because he looks at like the injury, the point that you're having pain is a symptom of something else.
Yeah.
And like lately, like this whole issue with my knee recently wasn't because my knee's jacked up. My knee was a consequence of my hips being way out of whack. And he was able to kind of see that through some of the tools he has. And most of the work in the first session he did with me was like on my hips and my quads.
Right.
And even on like the opposite leg where my knee was totally fine, just trying to work through that stuff. And I don't think he even got to the actual tendon that was experiencing the tendonitis until like the second or third session. So, I mean, I know I personally have relied on Kelly and kind of myofascial release as something that has been massively impactful for recovery.
Yeah, it's been like that, and exactly like what you're saying is typically when you find someone that's good, they don't go to the source, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to the source, but they don't go to the problem. They go to the source of what's causing the problem, right? Because us as humans, we're all the best athletes are the best compensators, right? Because we all have these nagging little things that are causing.
We're expert compensators.
Right.
That's a great way to put it.
And so when you have a knee injury, it's probably coming from somewhere else. It's not your actual knee that's hurting. It's you compensating somewhere, and now your knee is taking the blunt of it.
Yeah.
And so you got to fix that. Or that's why a lot of people hurt their low backs. They're like, oh, my low back's hurt. My low back's hurt. It's like, yeah, it's probably because your glutes aren't working, or your hamstrings are too tight,
right.
or your hip flexors are too tight.
Right.
And so now your low back is taking all of the load, right? And it's like you hit overload on it.
Yeah,
right? It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And so, those very true. When you talk to those types of people, they always they realize that shit rolls downhill in some way, right? So if your elbow's hurting, it's probably starting at your shoulder. It's not your actual elbow. So,
but it's always good to have one of those people. Like I never wanted to get massages because I was like, oh well, I don't need it. I don't need to relax or whatever.
I'm tough.
Yeah. Well, what Kelly Schlager does is not massage.
That is not.
It's basically torture.
He's not relaxing.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
I'm pretty sure he's a sadist because like he likes to like really make me feel a lot of pain. But
I went into him once for my elbow, and he started working on my forearm and bicep and tricep tendon, and I was just like. Just turned my head and looked away, and I was like, I'm not gonna let him show.
He told me that there was a tear. There was tears, a steady stream of tears just flowing down your cheek.
That's because I was so happy with what he was doing with my elbow. I was tears of joy.
I've never had somebody work my elbow like that.
This is amazing. The amount of pressure he's putting on my forearm right now is so amazing. I'm gonna cry.
I do appreciate too when he's gonna do something that's really painful. He'll go, this is going to get a little dirty.
Yeah, right. And he's like, hey, we're not going to try to be tough here. You let me know if it's a little too much. It's never enough, Kelly. It's never enough.
He gets in there and he's like, oh, yeah, it's dirty in there. Yeah. There's that. Yeah, that's really dirty. Kelly, I'm starting to feel uncomfortable now.
That heavy breathing.
Kelly, if you're out there, I hope you appreciate this little conversation about your expert myofascial release services. Because he is the man.
He is good.
He just opened a new shop too. He's in Sereno Valley now.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Nice. So I criticized him for that because he's further from my house.
That's way too far.
Yeah.
I'm not driving up there.
I told him he needs to start coming over to my house.
Exactly.
We can convince him to come over here.
Right. Yeah. We'll do a little. Yeah. Right. Work on Nick for 30 minutes. Work on me for 30 minutes.
For sure.
Easy day. I got all the other wellness stuff here.
Might as well, man.
Might as well.
Like I think your wellness spot will be better than the place Kelly's at.
Obviously.
Very soon.
That goes without saying.
You need a hyperbaric chamber now.
I've done hyperbaric chamber as well.
Tell me, what is your opinion of hyperbaric?
So when I did the hyperbaric chamber, and I always get them confused, hyperbaric and hypobaric, right? Hyperbaric chamber is when we go to altitude, correct?
I believe so.
Yes, hyperbaric chamber. Hypobaric.
Neither of us are physicians or scientists.
No, I'm gonna say
somebody out there is like, these guys are total idiots.
Idiots are talking about something they should not be talking about. Hyperbaric chamber, but I did that in 2014, right where the theory behind it is, right, you want to train at low altitude and then recover at high altitude, and then your body thinks that it needs more red blood cells.
Yep.
And so it starts to produce more red blood cells while you sleep, and then when you come out, now you have all these excess red blood cells to carry more oxygen to you, so you can have better endurance when you're training. And so I did it in 2014. I had a tent that I slept in at like 10,000 feet. And I think you have to get 8 to 10 hours in it straight for it to have the effect that you want it to have. And I did it before my regional that year, and I remember feeling really, really good. And I think the effects, then you want to wait a certain amount of time, right? It's not like 2 weeks out. Like you don't want to do it all the way up until your competition.
Right.
You want to do it up until, I think, like a week or week and a half out prior to. That's when you actually see maximum gains from it.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I did it. And, like, it was awful sleep. You literally felt like you were hungover.
That's a sacrifice, right?
Yeah, right. Like the sleep was not.
And that's probably why you want to cut it out like a week prior to a
Yeah.
major athletic event if your sleep is really bad,
Right.
And you're not used to being at altitude.
It was just like hot and stuffy in it.
Yeah, it's like everything that we just said. It was like you want to like regulate body
Right.
temperature. You want to get good sleep.
Right. But I really
Stay
did.
hydrated.
I did. Yeah, I did feel really good. I did, and I don't know if it really did anything or not, and maybe it could have been a placebo effect, because I know that obviously a placebo effect is real.
Yep.
But yeah, so I've definitely done that. I've done the opposite too. I've done hypobaric chambers, right, where you're going down in altitude or down in to depth. I'm sorry, down to depth, and you're
Forcing
forcing
oxygen.
100% oxygen into your body, and so now you're saturating your body with oxygen. And I've done that as well. And so both have different effects, right? When you're doing hypobaric, right, now you're going to sleep better. You're going to recover more because you have more oxygen in your body, and to carry, you're going to get different benefits to each, I guess. I remember the first time I did the hypobaric chamber. I was like, you see bigger like NFL people doing it, or Michael Phelps was doing it or something. I was like, well, why not? I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of times actually, like with injuries, people try to do it.
Yeah.
Right? And so, so I tried it a couple times, and I definitely slept the first night. Always after the first time I would do it once or twice a week. And I would basically go lay in this hypobaric chamber for like an hour. And I would sleep really, really good the first night.
Yeah.
Like almost amazing.
That was my experience. I did it a handful of times, and
Yeah.
my sleep definitely improved. And I know that they're using it for treating mild traumatic brain injury.
Yeah.
A lot of veterans, I think they're taking advantage of that. I think Debbie Lee from America's Mighty Warriors, so Mark Lee's mom.
Okay.
So Mark was first SEAL killed in Iraq. He was killed on the 06 deployment in Ramadi. His mom is an awesome woman. I think her charity, her nonprofit, supports that type of therapy for TBI. So I know I've heard of a handful of guys that I've run into have seen received funding to go to some of those programs.
Right. They're trying a lot. I mean, they're using it for a lot of stuff too. They're using it for like autism. There's obviously no science backing it as of right now, but I know that they're like trying to see if it has effects. But yeah, exactly. And then like you were saying, TBI, things like that. So it's really interesting, what, and I don't. Right now, for me, when I tried it, because I was like, I don't see any like downsides to it. Right now, why not give it a shot?
Yeah.
I know if I was like doing it probably every day, it probably wouldn't have been good.
Yep.
Saturating your body every day with too much oxygen probably would have been. It could have maybe went the opposite effects for athletic ability. I don't know. But anyways, yeah. I mean, I've tried it, and the main thing for me, the thing that I've always said is like, someone can tell me they don't like something or that didn't work for them, but it doesn't mean that I shouldn't go give it a shot.
Sure.
Right? There's so many tools out there for recovery, so many different things that are out there, and there's so much science now behind these things, and people testing them, and there's always new data. So for me, recovery, when I get asked a question, like, what's the best for recovery? I don't know what's the best for you.
Yeah.
You know, like go give all these a shot.
Yeah.
Whatever you can find time and you want to experiment with, go do it.
Well, here, you know what? The best one for you is pick one that actually has some basis.
Yeah.
Give it a go. If you do see an effect from it, if you can actually stick to it and form a routine, a disciplined routine about, putting that into your daily routine.
Right.
Like that's the one that's going to be the most impactful.
Exactly.
It's like if you don't have access, if you can only go and do, oxygen therapy in a chamber like that once like every 6 months or,
Right.
Once every couple months or something, maybe it's not going to be as impactful for you.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you can, you can start meditating, or you can improve your sleep by doing some of these simple things like being hydrated a little bit better, darkening your room, wearing some eye shades, cutting out phone use before you go to bed, meditating or trying to meditate. Like some of that stuff is definitely within your control. And you don't need a crazy facility or some expensive apparatus
Right.
to make, to make that part of your daily routine. So, whatever you can implement on a consistent basis is probably going to yield the highest benefit, for you.
100%. I think that's the best. Yeah, that's the best advice, right? Whatever you can put into your daily routine as often as possible, that's going to be your biggest and best recovery tool.
Yeah.
Right. You're right. Not everyone can go out and afford to get a float tank. Not everyone can go out and afford to get a sauna.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone can afford to go to bed.
Yeah.
Everyone can afford
Right,
to go to, not everyone, but most people can afford to go to, you can get blackout shades for your windows in your room.
sure.
Pretty cheap.
Or you just spend $10 on Amazon and get a little silk eye mask.
Exactly.
And you look cute too when you go to bed.
Awesome. You look really cool.
And everybody, and
and
most people
foamies are cheap.
Yeah.
Foamies for your ears are cheap.
Foamies are cheap. You can always go and fill up a glass of water. You can go to the park,
Yeah.
fill up your water.
Exactly.
So there's some simple stuff out there that produces pretty prolific results
Yeah.
if you do it daily in a disciplined routine.
Discipline equals freedom. I've heard somebody says that.
I've heard a good friend of ours say
Yeah, I
that.
know a
Somebody
good
I
dude.
respect
I know a good dude
immensely.
that said that. Yes, exactly.
Well, dude, speaking of routines, man, I mean, I think it's a good way to kind of close this thing out. Is
Yeah.
like, what are you doing right now? Like, what is your daily routine?
So my daily routine right now, I wake up, I go out, and I get into my ice tub. I do my 4 minutes of breathing it. I wouldn't say 4 minutes anymore. I do about 20 deep breaths in it. Probably about 2.5 minutes, 2 to 2.5 minutes. And my water is cold. It's a form of meditation. For me, it makes me, even if it isn't doing anything actual for me, it makes me think that I am.
Yeah.
Right. And if it's strengthening my immune system, great. If it's not, I think it's strengthening my immune system.
So it probably
which
is.
is half the battle. And so that's huge for me. And I do that most days. I would say it's 6 out of 7 days a week I'm doing it. I come in, I have my cup of coffee, my supplements, have my breakfast, and then I'm typically out in the garage working out, and I have that routine where it's like that's my day. I have to get a little bit of work done with the coffee.
Yep.
So I'll hit up some phone calls, some emails, things like that, try to knock that out. Maybe right before the workout, but then I go in and I get my workout in. I kind of try to stay away from my phone as much as possible. Come out, have lunch. If I have more work to do, I have more work to do. If not, right now I'm not getting in a second workout because that's just where I'm at, and going golfing. Doing a lot of golfing.
It's effective cross training
It
for
is
the
right
games.
now. It is. How I'm looking at it is I've spent a good portion of my life where going into the gym was what I wanted to do, and and I got away from some of the stuff that I really enjoyed outside of the gym.
All right.
And so right now I'm really focusing on having that attitude where, hey, I don't have to be in the gym literally all day.
Yeah.
And to feel good. Like, I enjoy playing sports. I enjoy being competitive. And golf's a really easy way to do that for me. I love going out mountain biking. Been getting a little bit more mountain biking in lately. So yeah, any way that I can right now, like be physically active, but not inside the gym. I'm really trying to get something of that done every single day as well. Once I'm done with that, then it's dinner time, starting to relax, starting to like wind down. I typically at around 8:30, 9 o'clock, hit the sauna, right? Go into my sauna, do my 20 minutes in my sauna. Some nights I'll hop straight into the cold tub after it. Not every night. That's a really awesome experience. If you've never done that,
super awesome.
If you've never done that, it is.
Don't do it alone.
Yeah, you might get a little dizzy. You get a little dizzy, but it's very euphoric.
I think the last time I was over here, we got out and I jumped into the ice bath.
Yeah.
And you are a superhuman after coming out of a 220 degree sauna.
And then going into 35 degrees.
So I was good. Like, up to my neck. I was in there, and I could have stayed in there forever.
Yeah.
And, until I started noticing that the entire world was like moving back and forth. Right. And I was like, all right, I probably should get out. I got out and I was gripping the side of the.
I saw white knuckles gripping the side of the freezer.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Nick, I'm like, you're spinning.
I might go down.
I'm like, you're spinning right now, buddy. And I could tell you were like trying to play it off. Like, yeah, he doesn't notice that.
Deep breaths.
He doesn't notice that I'm about to fall over. But I did.
That's why you a two-person integrity.
Right, exactly.
You don't want to do that by yourself.
Where's my swim buddy?
Don't go into a sauna and then immediately immerse yourself in icy water.
Yeah.
Because you may pass out.
You could definitely pass out. So yes, exactly. Have a swim buddy with you at all times on this. But yeah, so that's typically my day. And then I am watching a little bit of sports at the evening, and then showering off to bed. Like I'm in bed by 9:30.
Cute eye shades on, and then in bed.
Cute blackout shades sliding over. Me turning that chili pad on, gets a nice little. It has a hum to it. It's like
See, white noise too.
White noise, exactly.
I'm totally gonna get one.
Yeah, dude, you will. It's worth it.
Yeah.
And again, no affiliation with chili pads. So, yeah. So that's right now. That's my typical daily routine. What about you, buddy?
So I
hear it.
Yeah. So I've said that I'm way into meditation. So I get up earlier. So I get up before the enemy, which the enemy are my children.
Which means you never sleep.
Yeah. So I never sleep ever. So I get up early. I mean, early for me is, I get up at like 5, maybe 5:30 or 6. 6 usually will give me, if I'm going to sit in meditation for an hour, that gets me, I'm done with my sitting by 7 or just after 7. And, my kids are just starting to stir, or they started to stir around 6:45. And they'll go into my wife's room and attack her first. And I've started locking my door now, but they'll shake it violently to try to get in.
Tactics on them are good.
Yeah, but I'm smarter than them.
Right.
But they are very smart. They adapt. They learn.
They adapt and overcome.
But yeah, no. So I get up at that time. I immediately do get out of bed, and I'll drink my first pint of water. And we actually get, and I've learned this on that Zac Efron show. He has a reality show about like wellness and health that's on like Netflix or something. And so he travels the world and like does all this stuff to like kind of look for like optimal ways to be like healthier.
Yeah.
And there was an episode talking about total dissolved solids in your water. So there's a difference between purified water, which I guess is not good for you because you don't get any of the minerals that you get from like actual water with like a TDS.
Okay.
And like if you, like we get a water delivery from like services, they bring big glass jugs.
Yep.
Yeah, you got them here.
Same here.
And so there's actually minerals dissolved in that water. So we have that in our house. We made an investment in that good water.
Yep.
So you actually are starting to get some like natural minerals from that. So I'll do my first pint. I take my supplements. I take the stuff that I'm been committed to. So I take my lion's mane.
You BCAAs.
They're coming for you next week.
The fake BCAAs that don't do anything.
We do. We have a new BCAA product coming out next week.
I'm just kidding. I know a lot of people harp on BCAAs. So Nick's company is dropping a BCAA line.
Protect Primer.
Yeah.
Getting you primed for the day.
Prime for the day. Get some.
But yeah, no, I take my lion's mane, my gram and a half of lion's mane. I take my vitamin D, my B12, my K2 tincture, and then I take a ton of niacin because you can't get enough of the niacin flush. It just makes you, it gives you a nice warm hug about 20 or 30 minutes later. So yeah, I do that. So I take the supplements and then I go and I sit, I meditate for an hour, and I'll usually get that niacin hug about 20, 30 minutes in. Helps to kind of, recalibrate my internal timer. So I know I'm about halfway through, and then I get up and I knock out another pint of water or two. And, I typically will start hammering out work. I focus on climbing. That's what I'm all about right now. So a lot of my, my training is focused at becoming more proficient at the sport and, the activity that I prefer to do. So to your point, Josh, I think, finding something that you're stoked on as an activity and focusing your training at getting better at that activity has really worked well for me. So like I realized, I used to do all kinds of other training, and, I used to, do like conventional lifting and all of that. And I finally realized that there was a lot of stuff I was doing that isn't necessarily benefiting me as a climber.
Right.
So I really started to tailor my non-climbing training to things that were going to be directly applicable to the sport. So in the warmer months and even in like the winter, I typically will wait till later in the day to knock out all my training because,
we live in San Diego.
We live in San Diego.
There is no winter.
There is no winter. That's why I have to wait till it's like dark out to be cold enough. Yeah. Like I actually enjoy cold weather. So like I would love it to be 50 degrees like year round.
Right.
But so like I'll do that morning routine. I'll really knock out a bunch of work during the day. And then try to hammer out another couple pints of water during the day with the goal of being 96 total ounces or more. And then train now because the weather's a little warmer. I kind of wait till about 5:30 or 6 p.m. I brew up some of that Good Dudes coffee.
Good Dudes coffee.
I think I've been drinking the Roosevelt lately.
Roosevelt's a good one. So Ethiopian Yirgacheffe, it's a solid choice.
Delicious. So I got my fancy bean grinder.
It tastes like it smells. Delicious.
So I make my pour over around 5:30, 6 o'clock.
That's a late coffee.
It is, dude. So and typically people are like you harp on sleep.
Yeah.
If I drink coffee later than like that, 6:30 or 7, like I will notice a negative impact on my sleep. If I stick to kind of 5:30, 6 o'clock as the cutoff, I'm good. But every person's different.
Yeah.
If somebody's sensitive to caffeine, I do not endorse drinking coffee that late in the day. But for me, caffeine's an awesome performance enhancer.
Oh, for sure.
Helps with focus, especially for a sport like bouldering. I'm really focused on like muscle coordination, like movement. And, for me, it's not a lot of coffee. It's, I have a small little raggedy Andy cup that it's like 8 ounces. It's a little mini cup. Right. So I typically will do that with heavy cream and go out and I knock out my training. And my training right now is a lot of, either like a lot of double, two-handed, weighted fingerboard work.
No big deal.
Yeah. Changing the edge size up a little bit. I actually did, I've been doing some minimal edge stuff and it's been so hot. And like, I literally like blistered like all my fingertips, like on the 6 mil edges. Beastmaker makes like these little mini micros to hold on to. And like, it's good to kind of get you used to like really small edges going into the climbing season. But it definitely it ruined my skin. I'm not 125 pounds like some of these like high level climbers. So
climbers are I watch climbers and I've done obviously my little bit of climbing that I've done with you. And man, like the amount of like what you guys can do with just like holding with one hand and like what you hang on and stuff, it's just so impressive. It's crazy. You're looking at that, you're like, that's not anything. That's just the wall, right?
Well, you get obsessive about like body weight, strength to body weight ratio, because like, yeah, dude. I mean, it's like,
dude, remember when we were at Nyland? So we're out in Nyland. Nyland is one of our places we do some of our training in the SEAL teams. And Nick is such a freak rock climber. We literally, the wall outside the building, we started rock climbing the building. And it was like this like brick little. I wouldn't even say half.
Yeah,
inch.
it was like rough stone on the outside, right? So like
Yeah.
it was like all chipped up and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was actually pretty good, man.
Yeah, you Nick over here finding routes on the wall, and I'm out here just like following Nick's lead. I'm like, yeah, this is awesome.
Well, when you're stuck out in nylon for like 3 or 4 weeks, you don't have really any choice, right?
There's probably still white marks on that wall.
I think
For the
they're
only person ever to do it.
probably no one else has touched
No
that
one's
wall.
ever. That's a first ascent right there, right?
I know, man. Yeah, so like I knock out all my climbing. I have a home wall, so I have like a 50-degree wall that I boulder on. So I knock that out, and then as soon as I'm done climbing, if I wasn't intermittent fasting, this has been throwing me off too. Is like if I'm climbing late, and I get past like that 8 o'clock mark.
Yeah.
I'm like, I really want to. If I eat now, I'm not gonna be able to eat till like 1 o'clock tomorrow.
That was the thing. Yes, exactly. If you push that time late at night, you're like,
dude.
all this does is push my day
You're
back
gonna pay.
tomorrow.
You're paying the man the next day,
Right.
dude. So that's the only thing. So the new BCAAs that we're launching next week, plant-based, I'll be able to put some BCAAs in my system and I'm good to go, bro.
There you go.
My body's gonna be primed for
Slam down some
recovery.
Slam down some BCAAs.
I don't need all that extra protein and all those calories afterwards. And I guess what? I get to eat earlier the next
That's right,
day.
exactly. And I get to start my eating at 1 instead of 3, and I'm good.
But I finish all that stuff up, and then because I'm poor and I don't have a sauna in my house, like Josh, I'm not an elite CrossFit athlete. I don't have a sauna, so I opt for Epsom salt baths typically at night. I typically will try to jump in there before my kids steal all the hot water. So I take all the hot water, and then my kids have to take a cold bath. It's actually the opposite. They typically take all the hot water, and then I have to wait for the water to heat up again. But I do Epsom salt baths at night, and I'll do some breath work, and then I don't look at my phone. I actually have it dim, I think at like 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, and I try to keep the phone. I'm trying to be better at keeping the phone out of the room, but I definitely I'll plug it into like the wall on the other side of the room, and then turn the screen over, and then I sleep with the silk eye shades on, because my room does not totally darken. And what else do I got? I just got a new mattress. I bought it. I don't even know what kind it is, but it's a lot nicer than the shitty mattress I was sleeping on that was like 20 years old.
Hard bricks with broken glass on top, I'm gonna be very disappointed.
Yeah, it is. The old one was.
Rusty nails.
But I invested in a new mattress, so that's good. I invested in some new pillows.
Nice.
And I do have like a memory foam pillow.
Okay.
Which I always thought those things looked so uncomfortable. Like the
Yeah.
ones that are like blocks and they have like the curve on them.
Right.
I'm like, that looks terrible. Like I don't know who wants to sleep on that. Well, I know I'm like addicted to it. Like I put that thing on top of like my down pillows that I just spent like $100 on.
Right.
So yeah, I do that, man. And then darkened ship and
off to dreamland.
in my own bed because I got kicked out of my room. My daughter's like sleeping in the same room as my wife.
So you
They won't let me sleep in there because I sleep too hot and I sweat through the sheets.
I mean, I've heard actually I've heard of other couples, people who do that where they sleep in their own beds too.
Yeah.
And you get better sleep for it. I don't know.
Yeah. I still love my wife, but I just
just go sleep with
she
them.
just doesn't let
It's
me
like the
sleep.
old I Love Lucy, right?
Yeah,
The little
yeah,
twin
yeah,
beds
yeah,
next to each
yeah.
other.
Yeah, I live happier. She just doesn't like the way I sweat through the sheets.
I can see it. Hey,
And I take up way too much room.
you ruin her sleep.
Yeah.
You can't ruin her sleep. Jerk. Well, that's
Yeah,
awesome, man. I think that's a good place to. What was that? Everything? Sorry, did I cut you off?
Oh, come on, you always do that. No, I have nothing else. I have nothing else.
Well, your conversation's been boring.
No, the sauna is calling.
The sauna is calling.
And then I'm going to put myself unconscious jumping in the ice bath for like 10 minutes afterwards.
I'm gonna have to, I just changed the water, so I don't know if I'm gonna let you.
Oh yeah, I'll be all sweaty. Josh is going
mark up
to spray me down with the hose afterwards.
Murk up my clean water. Awesome. Well, I hope you guys got something out of this recovery. It's a huge thing. It's been a huge part of my life. It's been a huge part of Nick's life, and we just wanted to put out some information, to help out because it's a big question that I get hit up a lot with, and so yeah, I hope you guys got something out of it. Thank you, Nick.
As always,
Coming back.
A pleasure.
Talking to the man, the legend, Nick Norris. I think, aren't you? Nah, it was a bad joke.
I
Never
think
mind. I'm gonna end that. I'm gonna end it before I say
there's
that.
a good chance I'll be back here.
Oh, for sure. You'll be back on many times.
I mean, I'm just going to keep coming back because the wellness membership here is just too good.
Exactly.
So I'm going to be back often.
Your fees will have to be on the podcast as often as possible. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let us know. Hit that. Leave us a comment. Leave us a. Why can't I think of the word I'm looking for?
5-star review.
5-star review. Leave us a review. Let us know what you think, if you enjoyed it, if not. And as always, don't forget to pay the man.